What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Appreciate you guys tuning in for another video. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe so you don't miss out on any future videos. Man, it is finally here. REDCREST 2025. And yeah, we are packed up. The boat is loaded. The tackle's loaded. Rods are rigged. We're ready. We are ready to go start practice. As I'm filming this, we start practice tomorrow. But by the time you guys see this video, we will have already practiced for 2 days. This video is going to drop on Tuesday, so we will be in our final day of practice as you guys are watching this video. But I'm going to bring you guys a little preview, kind of my thoughts, what I think is going to be going down on Lake Guntersville for REDCREST, and kind of give you guys a whole walkthrough of the whole week and give you a little preview of the REDCREST. So if you guys are ready, let's jump in. Let's talk all about it. All right, so if you guys have been following the bass fishing world over the last year, 16 months maybe, you've seen that Guntersville is on the uppity up. It is a high-class fishery right now. I mean, it is pumping out some giant bags I mean, it's really been like that for the last few years, but especially the last, say, 12 months, it's really been pumping out some giant bags. You know, it's taken basically over 30 pounds to win every single tournament over the last 6 months for sure. You know, all fall and all spring, it has been over 30 pounds. So there is a bunch of big bass in Guntersville right now and a lot of fish. You know, that's the cool thing about Guntersville is it's got a big population of big ones and then a big population of like that 2 to 3 pound range. So it is absolutely an incredible lake right now. You know, I've spent a decent amount of time on Guntersville over the last couple years, and it's definitely one of my favorite lakes. It's a place that I feel like I click with a little bit, and I've had some good finishes, some good tournaments. So I am definitely excited about REDCREST coming here first week of April. This is the time I've actually never been. I take that back. I've never fished a tournament this time of year on Guntersville. I have pre-practiced for a tournament somewhere around this same week. You know, but that was a few years ago, and I'm not really sure if things will be similar to that now. But I'm basing this little preview off of the current conditions from this year. You know, I've spent a lot of time on Chickamauga and Nickajack the last couple weeks, which is basically the lake. Nickajack literally touches Guntersville. So it's the next lake up from Guntersville, and then Chickamauga is the next lake above that. So it's very similar geographically located. You know, that generally speaking, they fish pretty similar as far as stage of fish and, you know, water temperatures, patterns, that type of stuff. So I've spent a lot of time on those two lakes over the last couple weeks, kind of leading into REDCREST, just to kind of get a vibe on what the fish are doing in the TVA system. And, you know, for me, it seems like things are a little bit behind this year as far as, you know, spring, trees blooming, bass spawning. It seems like things are a little bit behind, or maybe just the past couple years things were ahead of schedule. Maybe we're right on schedule this year, but the last couple years things have been a little ahead of schedule. So it seems like, you know, I think I seen the first bass of the year on the bed on Nickajack the other day. So it seems like it just is getting ready to start. It's just popping off, and I predict that for REDCREST there's going to be a lot of bass on the bed. There's going to be a lot of bass caught, spawning. Whether you're actually sight fishing them or if you're just flipping at little light spots, sandy spots, little holes in the grass, I think a lot of those fish will be spawning in the grass on Guntersville, not necessarily up on the bank, you know, on a big flat where you can kind of see them, sight fish them, that type of stuff. You know, since there's so much vegetation on Guntersville, I think a lot of those fish may spawn out a little bit deeper where you can't quite see them. So there'll be a lot of that type of fishing going on, you know, shallower grass. And you can catch those types of fish even when they're spawning on a lot of different baits. You don't have to actually, you know, sit there and play cat and mouse with them and, you know, pitch a creature style bait or a drop shot or whatever at them, you can actually catch a lot of those fish on moving baits, you know, like a chatterbait, a jerk bait even, small swim baits, swim worms like the Speed Senko, and obviously the Senko is going to get a bunch of work. So actually, while we're on that, since we're on the Senko, here is my tackle prep for REDCREST. I brought the big dogs. I brought the bulk pack of Senkos, and I plan on going through all of these. So we got, what, roughly 50, 100, that's probably a half pack. So we got 125 Senkos, and oh, there's actually another one in there as well. So I plan on going through a lot of Senkos this week. We got the bulk packs tucked in the boat. So that's what I think is going to be going down this week on Guntersville. You know, I don't think you're going to see a whole lot of the jig head minnow play. You know, obviously that is such a phenomenal bait. You always have to have one tied on, and you can always catch a bass on it. But I really don't see that being the dominant player in this tournament, and especially because of the new format. You know, if you guys haven't followed Major League Fishing Bass Pro Tour this year, we're only allowed to use live scope for one of the 3 periods of the day. So 2/3 of the day, we're gonna have to use our eyeballs, not our eyes underwater. So that's gonna, you know, kind of play right into that shallower grass scenario. So I really see that being a big player, and maybe mixing and matching, you know, starting in an area, or, you know, using your live scope period first in an area where you can catch a few of those fish, and then once that's burnt up, go do a secondary pattern, or maybe your primary pattern, but do it secondary in the day to catch those other fish that are out a little bit deeper. But let's check on the current conditions. You know, I like to use the Deep Dive app. That has all of the information I need to see on a lake. So let's pull up the Deep Dive app and see what Guntersville is currently like. So right off the bat, the lake is a little bit low. So it is roughly 1 foot low from full pool, but it looks like that's pretty normal for this time of year. So haven't had any drastic changes there. Now, I do know we had a bunch of rain here, I guess it will be 2 weeks ago from today as I'm filming this. So what I was really curious about was the water clarity on Guntersville. You know, Guntersville typically stays pretty clear, but we had upwards of 5 inches of rain here. So that's gonna dump a bunch of muddy water into the lake, but it looks like it is currently pretty clear. Now it has this cool tab at the bottom where you can scroll back and see the history. So here you can see it was muddy. So 2 weeks ago it was clean, then it got muddy, March 17th, got muddy, and we can scroll through and see it clean up to where it is now. So the lake is back clean. That's always a good thing. You guys know I love clean water, and I definitely don't like fresh muddy water. So happy to see that the water has cleaned up. And like I said, Guntersville is generally pretty clean. There's so much grass in there, it keeps the water pretty filtered. Now, the other big player, the other big factor on Guntersville is kind of in the vegetation topic, is the floating eelgrass. That really becomes a nuisance as far as the baits you can throw, even covering up areas that you want to fish with just these big floating eelgrass mats. So I'm going to pay very much close attention to the wind effects feature on this Deep Dive app, because that wind is what's blowing those eelgrass mats around. So I'm going to be looking for the protected areas that have been protected in the past couple days, because I'll know that eelgrass will be blown to the other side of the lake and I'll be able to fish. So that's just something I'm gonna pay very close attention to as the week goes on, so I can see the areas that potentially could have a bunch of eelgrass blown into there and not be able to fish for them. So that's just another thing I'm gonna pay very close attention to here on the Deep Dive app this week on Lake Guntersville. So if you guys are interested in the Deep Dive app, there is a link in the description down below, so check that out. And man, it is an awesome tool to help you guys catch more bass. So it is definitely something that I use each and every day I go out on the water. All right, we got a few more things we got to get loaded up. We got to get all the clothes packed up, all of Brittany's clothes packed up. I mean, this is a special week. You know, REDCREST has the Thunderbolt ball. It's you know, a big celebration of the year, and it's really about the girls getting all dressed up, fancied up. You get to see a bunch of bass fishermen in suits without hats, which happens once or twice a year. So it's a special night for sure. So we got to pack a little extra clothes for this one. And thankfully, this is an event pretty close to home, so we don't have too long of a drive. We're going to be heading out of that garage here in just a few minutes and get on down to Guntersville. So appreciate you guys tuning in for this video. Here we go. Wish us luck on REDCREST, and hopefully we can reel in a few bass this week and make a run at winning that trophy. So appreciate you guys tuning in. As always, leave those likes, comments, good stuff down below, and we'll see you guys next time.